Yeah, 540-0580. I found a hockey stick here. It's man-made global warming. Why we should be worried about the intellectual climate. It's a little hockey stick from the Commonwealth Foundation. Pretty cool. You know, the global warming hockey stick theory. You know, it's like a hockey stick. It's been slowly building forever, and any moment it's going to turn up like the end of a hockey stick.
Step outside and tell me that it's global warming.
Oh, no, that's why it's climate change now. See, we had to change the name. That way we can fool the idiots. 540-0580. Carl Rominger here. Show's weekend appointment. I'm answering your legal questions. And I wanted to thank my guides from the Stony Valley Outfitters this morning. Those guys, Brent Shickley, Matt Scott, they're wonderful outfitters. I'm going to be putting up a picture of the deer that my guide shot. Go figure, you know, you pay all this money, you hunt with these guys, and one of them shoots a deer right out from underneath you. But when you see the picture, and I'll have it up here on Weekend Appointment here in a little bit, you're going to wonder if he had a fur taker's license or not, because it looks more like a red fox than it does a deer. I'll explain some more a little later in the show about that. But again, I want to thank Matt, Scott, and Brent Shickley of the Stony Valley Outfitters and their fine staff. And I would recommend them to anybody. I don't think they'd shoot a deer out from anybody else. I wasn't going to shoot it anyhow. It was so small. Felt bad for it. Anyhow, 540-0580. You have a legal question, call on in. I need to make sure everybody knows Weekend Appointment has been greatly updated. Weekendappointment.com. It's even better and more amazing than ever before. And it looks even better because I thought it looked better to some of you the other day. But what I didn't realize is when I was logged in, it looked really good. If you weren't logged in as a user whose username was mine, it didn't look exactly the same because I was able to see some things that hadn't gone live yet. So now you'll be able to see some things across the left side and across the top. We've got an announcement section. We've got an easy link to the Get a Free Will. If you had problems in the past figuring out how to get your free will, I think we have some better explanation on there. We've got a link on there that says Hire Carl. That just kind of tells you how to get a hold of me. We got a custody tips section. I've got a couple tips up in that already, and we'll be putting more tips in there. And we've got an arrested what to do section that's just being fleshed out. But those are sort of like those emergency things. And we're going to throw some more regular content up there besides people's posts. We can kind of create articles and whatnot. You can also see what's new down the left side and the most viewed down the right side. And, of course, the forum format's still there. And if you're a registered user, you qualify for that will. So make sure you go to weekendappointment.com. If you haven't in a while or you never have, you're really going to be impressed. I think I am. I'm very happy with what they've done, the programming guys. Anita, you're on WHP 580 with attorney Carl Rominger. What's going on?
Great service. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney draws up a contract.
Yes.
And charges $16,000. Very lucrative contract.
Okay.
With Cartoon Network, as a matter of fact. First year, fine. The contract is fulfilled. The payment is set. Into the second year, 8 months into the contract, but no money. Now, does the attorney have, after he writes a contract, does he have an obligation to police that contract or?
No, I mean, if I wrote a and I guess I don't know what kind of contract we're talking about exactly, but if I wrote a contract for you, came in and said, this is what I want to do, later on, if somebody's not performing under the contract, you'd have to come to me and say, hey, Carl, remember that contract you wrote? Those boys aren't paying. What do I do? And then I would say, okay, well, we have remedies under the contract. Here's what they are. Which one do you want to pursue? Do you want me to start by writing them a letter? Do we want to sue them in court right away? Do you want me to just give them a call? Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. It even involves copyright infringement where I can even go to the FBI.
Right.
Now, the unfortunate thing is I've called the attorney twice. I'm, of course, in Pennsylvania. He's in Los Angeles. He is very elderly. And finding out from my attorney here that he has retired, another elderly man, I'm frightful. This attorney isn't even alive anymore because I've had no response to the two phone calls. Gotcha. Even spent a month in Los Angeles telling him where I was, etc. So I guess the address I have on him, I guess maybe just write a certified letter just to make sure. That's what I would do. And then go from there. Yeah, and if ultimately you can't, I mean, any attorney can enforce another attorney's contract. I mean, they're just legal documents, so you're always free to find another attorney to do that for you. And you would be willing to write that letter notifying Cartoon Network this is exactly where we stand? And
Oh, yeah.
Have you done any entertainment law?
A little bit, Anita. I can't say that I've done a ton, but I've been involved in some contracts for bands, and I've helped a promoter out developing some of his paraphernalia. And I also, actually, now I should say, I also did an online radio station's legal work, which involved a lot of the laws as they affect music and digital rights. So,
Right.
I got a little. I guess I got a little more experience in that area than I was.
Well, this is pretty cut and dry. This is a real, like...
Those are famous words, Anita. Whenever a client says to me, "Those are cut and dry, Carl, it's easy," I always say, No, I'm just teasing you. But yeah,
So what I mean is you would be very capable because it is so cut and dry, and it isn't like when I started 30 years ago in this, when intellectual property was non-existent.
right. It was a little bit more. What does this mean, and what are we going to do? Right. There's a lot of statutory framework, and the case law is obviously begun to catch up.
And I'm not so sure if just going to the FBI wouldn't be the easy way to just go about it.
Well, they're not going to help you police a civil contract, but they certainly might investigate infringement. So why don't you contact me off the air, and I'd be happy to take a look at the contract and hear what you have to say.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much, Carl.
All right, Anita. Thank you.
Goodbye.
540-0580, 540-0580. John, you're on the air with Carl Rominger on WHP 580. I've been up since 4:50. I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
Hello. Thanks for taking my call. I live in York County, and some years ago I paid off. I made the final payment on the property which I own, and I thought the county would send me a deed. And my question would be: is there a deed on file in every county office?
You paid off your last mortgage payment?
Yes, I did.
Well, there should already be a deed filed. In other words, if you have a mortgage, you already are the deed holder, and there's already a deed filed at the county.
Okay, and then the thing which I probably could do then is write to the county and ask them to mail me my deed.
You're
a copy of it.
Yeah. Although you should have got your original deed back at the time of closing.
Well, that's what I thought, and I just kept putting it off. And so the thing I thought I'd do, would it be good then for me to write them or call them and ask if they still have the copy of my deed?
You could. Now, a lot of courthouses are simply going to say, just come up here and get it or download it off the internet. But the other thing is, like, if you contact a title searcher or a title company, a lot of times they, or what we call an abstractor, they can also pull it for you if the courthouse won't do it.
Alrighty.
Okay?
Okay, that I think that answers my question.
All right, John, I got to go to break. Thanks.
All right, and thank you then.
540-0580. See you after the break. Hey, welcome back. 540-0580. 540-0580. It's a show where we answer your legal questions, and I'm in the process of trying to load this picture up of this deer here at the Stony Valley Outfitters shot this morning. Like I said, I turned down the shot, but what do you know? Alan, you're on WHP 580 with attorney Carl Rominger answering your legal questions.
Hey, Carl, I got a quick question about a refinancing.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of refinancing my house. It's been almost 90 days since I started the process.
Okay.
I'm about ready to walk away from the whole deal. However, my question is, if I do that, do I owe anything to the bank, such as for them to do the title search, all that stuff they do on the back end?
You potentially can. You have to be careful. If you've started on the buyer's side, yeah. We've had this happen before where people get 99% of the way through and then back out for some reason. It's rare, but it happens. And
this is a refinance.
Okay. So there might be a title search fee.
Okay.
And that if somebody's done a title search, obviously somebody's got to pay for it. But if the bank's botching it up or whoever's botching it up, sometimes they'll eat those costs just to try to keep you as a customer too.
Yeah, because I have what was I gave one suggestion to do the loan. They said no, you can't do it. And they come back and say, hey, we're going to do it this way. It's like, hey, wait a minute, I asked that question 30 days ago, and you said we couldn't do it. Now we can do it.
Right.
Delayed once again. So it's like, I just kind of getting the runaround. So I wasn't sure if I owe anybody any money. I could just walk away from it. So.
You might want to just ask. Be blunt about it.
Oh, yeah, I did. I got an answer. Well, you might have to pay the title search company. And it's like, why would I do that? I didn't order it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, now you have to take a look at the docs you signed to see, if there was anything there.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing to start looking at the documents I've been signing for the past 90 days. So.
Exactly.
All righty. I appreciate it.
All right, so I don't have a better answer for that, except it does seem like you'd probably be responsible for it. But then again, it depends on your understandings. I mean, if it wasn't made clear to you and it's not in writing, was to your benefit potentially. But if they're the ones that ordered it and they're the ones that are botching it up, I think you could legitimately take the position you don't need to pay. Russ, you're on WHP 580 with attorney Carl Rominger.
Hi, Carl. There was 9 of us this past Thursday that just got outsourced from my company that I have worked there for 31 and a half years.
Okay.
And they're more or less forcing us to go with the outsourced company. Other employees at my company have been outsourced, and they receive severance pay, or they have also received the unemployment benefits.
Okay.
Our company is giving, my company is not giving us any of those. Is there anything we can do about that? We're going to the outsourced company for a lower wage, and we're starting at the ground bottom.
Right. So they're transferring you to it. They're saying basically is you have a new job available to you.
Yes, it is. It's a new job available, yes, for running for my old company.
And is it a much lower wage, right?
Not about $1.50.
Okay.
$1.60, something like that.
Yeah, usually in those cases you might be able to apply for partial unemployment, but it usually has to be a bigger decrease than that, which you might be entitled. In other words, I know of companies, they cut back a worker's hours, and then you might be entitled to, say, partial unemployment or knock back your salary. So you might be worth applying to the unemployment office to see if it's sufficient difference to allow for that.
But there's nothing legal that we can do.
Now, Pennsylvania is a work-at-will state, and it basically says anybody can fire anybody anytime they want. And your only remedy is unemployment. Now, if they were to fire you or edge you out because you're black, you're old, if you smell bad, that's okay. You can discriminate for pretty much any reason you want except those protected classes. But, I mean, that's the end-all, is that Pennsylvania is just not a kind state to workers. And it depends on how you view the situation. When you're the worker getting ousted, obviously Pennsylvania is a horrible state. When you're a business trying to figure out how to get rid of employees, it's obviously a great state.
Okay. I appreciate that.
All right, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Pennsylvania is a tough state on employees. However, you have unemployment compensation available, but in these unusual circumstances where the wage goes down just a hair. Sam, you're on WHP 580 with attorney Carl Rominger. My talk line number is 540-0580.
Hello.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I have a little problem with some computer software that I bought.
Okay.
I just bought a computer, and they offered me this great deal on this security software, but I don't like it. And a day and a half after I bought it, I took it back to the store, and they wouldn't refund it. All they would do is exchange it.
Okay.
And told me that I would have to go to the maker of it to get a refund. Well, I tried that, and there's nowhere on this company's website they advertise 100% return full refund policy within 30 days, but you cannot. There is no way to get in. They won't give you an address or instructions or anything else to actually do it.
Okay.
And I was wondering, what can I do about it? And isn't there still a 3-day law in this state?
For rescission? And what's the product exactly?
It's security software for my computer.
I don't think you have a 3-day right of rescission on software. And a lot of times on software, you've got the wraparound license that says once you open it, you can't give it back.
My goodness. How do you know what you're getting until you do open it?
Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of that. Now, I'm just thinking this through. Do you know what it said on there? On the box itself?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, just them telling you how great it is and how it makes you completely safe and everything.
Right.
And it says it might slow your computer down a little. So that's my problem. It's slowed my computer to a stall.
Has it?
Yes, and it's just unbearable. I mean, it takes forever to get a web page. It takes forever to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just don't know where to go.
I don't know what to tell you. I'd have to actually look and see what the, what it says on your wraparound. They call that like the shrink wrap contract. The idea of you open the software and here's what it says, or when you installed it, you agreed to these terms and services.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, nobody ever reads that fine print.
Yeah.
But what they're worried about is a lot of times people, if they return software, obviously you can just burn a copy of it, and you go, I want to return this to you. And a lot of times that's what they're worried about is you're going to use it.
I thought that's probably why the store does that. But the store won't even assist me in tracking this company down.
Huh.
They won't give me an address or a phone number. I mean, my goodness, they must have this information. They're selling their product.
So the store won't take it back.
Right.
Okay. I don't know what else to tell you for the moment.
Now, I filed a complaint with Consumer Protection, but I don't know. Yeah,
Consumer Protection, Better Business Bureau. You can try all those routes. It doesn't sound like you're going to get satisfaction. And how much did you spend on the software?
It was about $50.
Yeah. So and so to hire a lawyer to even write a letter is going to run you anywhere from $35 to $75, depending on what the lawyer charges. So.
Yeah, and I won't retrieve that.
That's correct.
Right. So I'm kind of nailed here. But does it sound right to you that our state lets them operate this way?
Yeah, software, it's pretty standard that you buy it, you bought it. Now, if they offer a free trial, a lot of software also has free trials and things like that. That's one of the reasons why sometimes it's better to try to get it straight off the internet as a download, because a lot of times they'll let you do a download as a trial as opposed to when they sell it to you as a disc, and then they have all that shrink wrap on there.
Yeah, I'm learning this now. I'm kind of a novice at this stuff.
It's okay.
But I'm learning.
Live and learn, my friend. Live and learn. But I would tell you for the amount of money involved, you just kind of got to suck it up and move on.
Jesus. Okay. I was afraid of that.
Shane's nodding his head in there. He agrees.
I heard you on the radio, and man, I gotta call this guy.
I appreciate it. By the way, you want to stay in touch, you go to weekendappointment.com, register, and you can stay in touch and keep up to date on what we got going on.
All right, I will.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Let's see here. Skip.
Hi, Carl. How you doing?
Good, my friend. How are you?
All right. I have a solution maybe for this. Not necessarily a solution for him now, but maybe in the future, if he ever buys anything like that, if you use a credit card, now not a debit card, but a credit card,
right,
and you have a problem, you can always put it in contest and you don't have to pay. And that'll get their attention when they don't get their money.
I actually agree with that, 110%.
Yeah, that's one of the big advantages of having a credit card. For any kind of stuff that you get like that, any kind of electronic type equipment where there may be a problem, taking it back, if you put that in context, they won't get their money. They'll be glad to take it back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a little tip. I learned the hard way, so if that guy's learning and listening, I hope he has a credit card for any future purchases he makes like that. It might help him.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. Thanks
All right.
a lot.
Thank you.
See ya.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. Using the credit card gives you an extra level of protection. In fact, some vendors, particularly vendors of sleazy merchandise, don't like to have credit card purchases because it is that easy to reverse the charges, and then the onus is back on the vendor to show they delivered a good product. Larry, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger.
Thanks for taking the call, Carl. Question goes back to unemployment.
Yeah.
Where you're a person who is already receiving Social Security, and you go back to work and start drawing income, and then that job melts away, and under normal circumstances, you'd be able to apply for unemployment. What happens if you're drawing Social Security? Do they say that you're entitled to unemployment or not?
If you're drawing Social Security, that's going to be considered another source of income, and it will probably affect your eligibility, but I'm not sure it's an absolute bar in all cases. I think it's going to depend on your total amount of your Social Security income and also how much wage you were making and how much unemployment you would potentially be entitled to.
So only the Unemployment Commission can actually tell you whether you can or can't or how much?
I think that would be the correct answer, and I have a feeling that if you went to their website or even if you called them, they would probably be able to tell you on the phone whether or not it's worth bothering with.
Okay.
All right?
Very good.
All right, my friend, I got to go into break. Thanks. Carl Rominger shows weekend appointment 540-0580. $540-0580. 540-0580. Is that Rod Stewart, I believe? I think. I'm playing with this hockey stick, and Shane's getting disturbed, so I'm going to set it down. Bill, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rominger. I have a question that I don't know how your expertise in real estate planning and zoning law is in Cumberland County.
Okay, we do a little zoning work. I can think of a few. I can think of a few times we've bested a zoning board, and I can think of a few times we haven't.
Okay, what are the chances on a large, well, not really large, a 30-acre plot of land in Cumberland County that's in clean and green?
Okay.
And it has an old house on it, but it's an elegant old house. And to put on another modern house on this and what are the chances of getting a variance to put the second house, modern house on without tearing the original one down?
Well, the preference is to have one house per
Of course, yes.
One house per lot.
Right. But this is a large plot. I don't know. Large is relative. 30 acres in clean and green.
And
agriculture and mostly agriculture, a little bit of trees, a little bit
The easiest way to do it would be to figure out how to do a minor subdivision.
Well, we don't want to do a subdivision.
Yeah.
But what are the chances of on a lot that large?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
In a rural area now.
Yeah, I understand. What are the chances? Fair to poor. I mean, because if I'm the zoning folks, what I'm going to be asking is, why don't you want to just do a minor subdivision so that you solve all of our problems? Chip off 5 acres to put the new house on.
Well, you chip off 5 acres, and that new house is lost clean and green.
Right.
That's a reason. Also, the house that's on there is an elegant, beautiful home, but it was made, it's probably 100 years old and it's in good condition. I'd have pictures of everything showing that it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's if the answer is if you're not willing to subdivide, your only option is to give it a try, and you can only be told no, and they might say to you, this is the only circumstance we would allow that under. And they might say, otherwise, come back to us with a subdivision plan and it's approved. So you'd know the answer, and then you'd know if there's something else you had to do.
Right. Well, would it be a better chance that it's, in a rural area rather than in the city?
Well, you want me to say, yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, it's in a rural area. It's on large acreage. That's certainly better than trying to put 2 homes on a half-acre lot. It's certainly better than trying to ask for a variance in an area which is highly dense and compact.
I think the nearest neighbors, like to this the older house, is like 800 to 1,000 feet away, and those people are all like hunting places or minor small farms or something.
Yeah, I think you have. I mean, here I'm trying to tell you is I think you have a chance. I think what I would want to do, though, is I would want to sit down with your zoning book, and I would want to talk to your zoning hearing officer,
right?
Or rather, your zoning enforcement officer.
But the chances would go up since it's a rural area.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I also think that like I say, a lot of townships are going to take a hard line on that and say, we might have done this 30 years ago, and we've learned our lesson. Because, we do this for you, and then we're going to have somebody else in who wants to build 2 houses on their lot, and it's going to be a little bit smaller, and it's going to be a bit closer to town, and we're going to say to you yes, and then we have to say to them no, and that's not going to look good. And
does it a lot depend on the township commissioners?
Well, it depends on who's on your zoning hearing board.
Right, but do they consult the the township.
No, they're an independent body. They're appointed by them, but it's an independent body with an independent.
What if it's a township that doesn't have it and it's done on a county level?
Well, then you got to deal with the county, and I'm not sure what they would say. I really don't. So my point is if you're serious about this, I would strongly recommend you see someone like me or another lawyer and sit down with them, have them pull the zoning materials, and talk with the people who. Usually, what we do is we do a little heads up, which is, hey, township, here's what my client wants to do. How do you feel about this? And we gotta get to test the waters first.
Right.
Rather than waste all your money preparing everything just to be told no later. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it does make sense that the chances increase with the larger size and the smaller.
Yeah, but do you understand testing the waters first?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Because
it's better to have somebody that knows the board people.
I don't think that matters. I think it's better to have somebody that knows the law, and I think it's better to have somebody that can be unemotional about it and detached, like an attorney who doesn't really care if they say yes or no, so that, like, if you go in yourself and you ask the zoning officer, well, this is what I want to do, and he kind of looks at you cross-eyed.
Well, I wouldn't even think of doing it myself.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, good.
That's crazy. That's
good. Good, because you're right. That is crazy, because that's what happens. It's better to have somebody go in there who just can say, hey, what do you guys think about this? What's your township's usual policy on these? What have you done in the past? What's the last 3 times you've been asked to do this in the last 5 years? What have you done? Yeah. Well, we have a uniform policy. Our board currently says no uniformly, and you're free to apply, but I can tell you they will tell you that. That's their policy. Other zoning hearing boards will say, this is something we have allowed, but only under certain circumstances, and the argument that it's 30 acres in a rural area is good. But I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to come back to you and say, because you have 30 acres and you want to build a new house, just get a new parcel, and that can be accomplished with a minor subdivision plan. And we realize that you want to avoid paying some additional tax on it. But then again, we're a municipal government, and we're interested in what?
Well, it's a subdivision, and I really don't want to do a subdivision. But on a subdivision, is that almost an automatic thing in a rural area?
Yeah, I would.
I don't mean making 30 homes on 30
right,
acres.
A minor
subdivision. Two homes on.
Well, and that's why I keep using the word minor subdivision. You keep using the word subdivision, and to me, that's two different things. Minors, most townships have 2 kinds of subdivisions in their act. One's called a subdivision or major subdivision. One's a minor subdivision. Minor subdivisions are routine. Guy has 20 acres and he wants to sell 5 acres to his son to build a house next door. And a lot of minor subdivisions you can divide into 3 or 4 lots, no more.
Well, I already checked some of the laws. If you have more than 3 separate parcels on there using a common road, you have to pave the road. But less than 3.
Right. And also you have to go through different levels of approval. Minor subdivisions are usually much easier to get approved than major subdivisions.
So in other words, it's almost a sure thing if you had 30 acres and you wanted 2 houses and you wanted to subdivide.
It's almost a sure thing.
Right.
Almost. All right, Bill.
All right, thank you.
All right, brother. Call me if you need me.
Thank you. Bye.
540-0580. 540-0580. Bill doesn't sound like he's going to move unless he's sure it's a sure thing. By the way, if you go to weekendappointment.com, I now have on the homepage, on the front page, there's the main article. It's called Stony Valley Outfitters, and there you can see my guide Brent and his deer. A little hint, you'll see the image when it pops up if you click on the article. If you click on the image itself, you can see the whole image. So if you want to see the fruits of the morning's hunt, feel free to go to the front of weekendappointment.com. And, of course, I think you might have to be a registered user to see the photograph. I'm not sure. So if you need to be, just go ahead and sign up and you'll be able to see it. And if you want to make some comments and make fun of Brent, feel free. 540-0580. See you after the break. Five 540-0580. That's our talk line number. It's a nice tune.
Very sensual.
Leave it to Shane. Great. Just ruined my day. 540-0580. Weekend Appointment's the name of the show. We did post a picture of the big hunting expedition this morning on weekendappointment.com, so be sure and check it out. It's right on the main page in the front there under Stony Valley Outfitter. And you might need to be a registered user to see the picture. I'm not sure. So go try anyhow. And if you're not, become a registered user, and you can claim your free will. You can join our online community of about 1,276 mid-staters who are exchanging all kinds of great information on there. And there are some people posting, besides myself, helping to answer some questions, sometimes with their experiences and sometimes with common sense. And, of course, I weigh in on the law from time to time. And it's really been turning into a great opportunity to get your questions answered, because a lot of things you might want to ask me on there have probably already been asked or answered, or variations of the same. In fact, I was in my office the other day, and a guy called me up and had a question about a tree and the tree and his property. I said, this reminds me of a question I answered online for somebody just the other day. Let's take a look and see exactly what that case says and see how it applied to the facts of your situation. And that's exactly what we did. Sylvia, on WHP 580 with attorney Carl Rominger.
Hi, I'm calling about the traffic lights on Route 22. Okay. I don't know if those are cameras on the traffic lights or are they sensors. They're just like all the way down 22.
Those are a lot of those are now. They're now putting little cameras on the traffic lights in a lot of cases. There might be some sensors, but we don't have any stoplight sensors in this area. I mean, nobody's going to get a ticket from a camera per se.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were.
Now, the ones they're installing right now, to my knowledge, in this area are basically just cameras that just shoot the intersection, and then when there's a big fender bender or a fatal crash or something, the police can download the imagery to see what actually happened.
But they don't send the individual drivers a ticket.
No, those aren't that kind of camera at this point. I don't believe we have any of those in this area, okay. And I'm not sure they can even put them up. I think they're just authorized in the state for Philadelphia as an experiment right now.
I see.
So feel free to run the red light, Sylvia.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Fred, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger.
Yes, I have a question. This is a criminal question. A number of years ago, I'm 62 now. I was 57 back then. I was walking my dogs, and some young person in their 20s went all crazy on me, and he called the police and said I threatened to kill him. The police came. I just stood there.
Did you get convicted?
I got convicted of disorderly conduct.
Okay, so what's the question then?
Now, does that stay on my record?
That will be on your record for life, yes.
And there's no way to take it off? If
you're found guilty or you plead guilty in Pennsylvania, you're not entitled to an expungement unless you get a pardon, and those are almost impossible to get.
Yeah. It upsets me because I've gone all my whole life without even a traffic ticket.
Did you have a lawyer?
I guess he was a lawyer.
Yeah.
Because after the trial, he says, I think I could have done more for you than I did. They wanted to give me, when they said about disorderly conduct, they wanted to give me 3 months in jail for the disorderly conduct.
Ugh.
I mean, the police knew I was innocent. The judge did. The mayor of the city knew.
Well, I don't know. Somebody didn't get you acquitted.
Yeah, it was a big laugh. It was almost like the cops said, "Well, I guess we're going to get some elderly white guy today."
Well, Fred, I guess the answer is, just so you know, it will be stuck. It will be stuck on there permanently.
Yeah.
All right, my friend.
All right, thank you.
By the way, somebody called in and told us that what she's seeing there are not the new traffic cameras, but they're actually the sensors for emergency vehicles, which will turn the lights green to allow them to come through. And I think they might strobe if that's what she's seeing. However, if you do look on a lot of stoplights that they're installing now, you're going to see the little cameras up there to catch everything. So you might see the sensors and the cameras these days. And I would imagine in this networked image society, a lot of that's going to get eventually piped right into terrorist central, where they can keep an eye on what's going on around the world. Chris, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger.
Hi, Carl. I had a question. I went bankrupt in 2005, and I forgot to stick a financial institution on my bankruptcy, and I just checked out my credit report, and they're still on there as me owing them money. How long do they have to come after me for that money?
Well, theoretically, they only have 4 years to sue you from breach of contract from the time that you failed to pay. And after that, they would lose their ability to come after you for that money.
Okay, well, that financial institution also changed hands. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole nother...
Right, there's successor and interest. In other words, if you owe me money, I could sell that debt to somebody else, or if you owe my business money and I sell the business to somebody else, then they would have the right to collect that debt.
Oh, okay.
It's assignable.
But does that 4 years carry on to the new
Yes.
owner?
Yeah, the 4 years starts from when you failed, when you made it clear you weren't going to pay.
So back in 2005, when I filed bankruptcy and I forgot to put them on there, they had until 2009.
Theoretically, if that's when you stopped giving their last payment, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was the last time. Okay, that was my question.
All right, my friend.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Let's see here. Richard, you're on WHP 580 with attorney Carl Rominger.
Hi, Carl.
Hey.
Question regarding workman's comp.
Yeah.
If a person is going out on a workman's comp injury for a surgery,
Yep.
is that person subject to the same random, like urinalysis testing as you would be as if you're doing your regular workday?
I don't know the answer to that. That's an interesting question. I guess what you're saying is yeah, I mean, you're still an employee at that point, and I know that when people have been put on workers' comp before, the idea is whatever level of work you can do, they'll bring you back, even if it's just to sit in a room and stare at the wall. So theoretically, you're still an employee of the company while you're down on limited duty. But if you're completely down and out on surgery, are you still employable or are you still employed? I don't know the answer. I would suspect that you would still be subject to that, although I would imagine you'd be on some heavy meds, which might goof that up.
Yeah, that's my concern.
And the short answer is if you do have to give urinalysis, it's important at that point to always disclose exactly what prescriptions you're on, because they will be able to use different types of screens to make sure that they don't get tripped up, or more importantly, you may pass the test because there's no way you can fail it. So if you're on if you're on the right kind of drug, there's not going to be a drug test that's going to give anything but a positive result for certain, like opiates, for instance. If you're on, I'll give you an example, morphine, you're going to test positive for opiates. So that's not going to be a failure because you're expected to test positive because you prescribed opiates.
I see. All right.
All right.
That pretty much covers it.
You should be okay, brother.
Thanks a lot.
540-0580. Carl Rominger here, the show's Weekend Appointment. Make sure you go to weekendappointment.com, see the picture of our deer hunt this morning, and also register as a user so you can stay in touch with us. We've had a few people register even today, so we're up to 1,276 people, and it's really exciting. A lot of people are exchanging information there. We've got a user named Shaw who's doing a lot of really neat stuff, and I wanted to call him out on that. He's doing a really great job, good posts. But during the week, you can post questions on there, and I answer them as I'm able. I don't always get to them every single day, but I do try every few days to go on there and answer up every one of them I can find. If it's urgent, feel free to click the Hire Carl link. Come see me in my office or call my staff. I start a jury trial, I believe, Monday in Lancaster County. So if you're going to be in the Lancaster County Courthouse Monday morning, or you want to be, you might be able to come in and see a trial. We should be starting one mid-morning, I'm told, or early afternoon. Yeah, I'm told I probably have to be there 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. So go to weekendappointment.com or just wait until next week and call us then. But if you didn't get on the air today and you had a question or you're driving around and really wanted it answered, go to weekendappointment.com and post it. Claim your free will, read the custody tips, and see the picture of Brent and his deer.